with that?
I'm Richard Truett, engineering reporter for Automotive News. Thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of Unpacking the Car. Today we've got a special vehicle, an endangered species, the sports car. Why do I say it's an endangered species? Well, if you take a look at what you can get in a sport utility vehicle today, there are plenty of them out there that'll go just as fast and be able to take all your friends and their belongings with you. So the sports car has been on a one-way sales trajectory for many, many years. But that hasn't stopped some companies from investing in new products. We've got a new Corvette, a refreshing Mustang, and recently Nissan came out with the latest generation of the Z car. The Nissan Z is the car that made Nissan in America. Before 1970, Nissan sold a few trucks and a few dumpy-looking sedans, but when the 240Z came out in 1970, that set the whole world on fire in terms of Japanese cars in the US. And ever since then, the Z car has been pretty much a mainstay of the Nissan lineup. The latest generation is out now, and I can tell you it's the best Z that they've ever built. It looks great. It's got some heritage styling cues, a 400 horsepower twin turbo V6, and it handles like it's on rails. But there's an issue, and it's a big one. It's called the Chevrolet Corvette. When the mid-engine Corvette came out a few years ago, it sucked the oxygen out of the market for sports cars. Chevrolet sold more Corvettes than just about all the other sports cars on the market combined. On the screen, you'll see the sales figures that I got from the Automotive News Data Center for Q2 2024. The Corvette, anything that's priced near it is just not going to fare well. But anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about the Z. One reason why sports cars are an endangered species is the price. Way back in the 50s and 60s when the sports car market was dominated by MG and Triumph and Fiat, those were entry-level cars that didn't cost a lot. If you had $2,500 in your budget, you could buy a Spitfire or maybe a TR6 or a Fiat 124. Even a Porsche 914 was kind of an inexpensive car. Well, all that's changed. Not only because cars today are loaded with technology, but because the engines are super, super powerful. This Z has got 400 horsepower. It's a twin turbo 3-liter V6 that if you step on the accelerator hard enough, you can tear chunks of pavement out, it seems like. It's just violently fast. That comes at a price. One thing I really like about the Z is it's got a very refined demeanor to it. There's not a lot of buttons and things to press. There's no sport mode, and you can't change the tone of the exhaust in this particular model, and that's fine by me. The exhaust is kind of quiet, and you know, if you're an older buyer, and my guess is if you got 50 grand to spend on a car, you're probably going to be an older buyer. Maybe you don't want a super loud exhaust. And so I think that Nissan has tuned this car just right. When you drive it, you know, with a light foot, it's pretty docile, but when you really want to go fast, let's just say somebody in a Challenger is nipping at your tail, you'll go. That was not even in a lower gear too. I mean, the engine's just got tons of torque. You can buy the Z, of course, with an automatic transmission, but I think if you're going to get a sports car, to get the full experience of the joy of driving a sports car, you really need the manual transmission. It's a 6-speed manual. The clutch is nice and light. It's easy to press down. If you press this button here, you have what Nissan calls rev matching. And it's really cool because when you are downshifting, the motor will rev up as you're shifting into a lower gear. And that helps for quicker shifts. Nothing wrong with that. On the classic sports cars that I've had, they always had really nice, expressive gauges where you could see the needles going. And it's true, there's 3 auxiliary gauges in the dash, you've got that. But the main gauges for this, the engine, RPM, and the speed are digital. And the needles are really small. And you know, I find that I haven't paid much attention to that, which is a little unusual for a sports car because you kind of like to see what's going on, you know, with the engine and all that. But really, the car is just so easy and relaxing to drive, you never feel like you're stressing it out. Give Nissan kudos for one other thing. The turning radius of the Z is really, really nice. Look at that. Sometimes sports cars with real thick tires or real wide tires like the Corvette, the turning radius isn't real great. But part of the mission of a sports car is to be very highly maneuverable and very agile, and the Z totally delivers. I'm sure you can hear the road noise. That's not uncommon for a sports car because you're sitting, pretty low to the ground, and the idea of a sports car is to keep it lightweight, so there's not a lot of sound deadening material in it. Another reason to buy a sports car is because you want to impress your friends and get noticed, right? It's kind of an ego thing. So I can tell you from driving around Detroit for about a week that this car certainly did get noticed. I was at Costco picking up something the other day, and a guy came up to me in the parking lot and he says, "Wow, that's a beautiful car. I've not seen that color before." And we struck up a conversation. And a few minutes ago, the guys at the car wash were like drooling over it. So that's exactly what you want a sports car to do, right? You want to make yourself feel good for having bought it. And people love the Z. It might not sell in as big of numbers as it used to, but this particular model is a return to form for the Nissan Z car.